side of the board. So if you can get past that Lycan Rock, it should be relatively well positioned for Fabien to take this one, as long as he can have that Garbodor in play with a tool card on it on the bench, safely away from the attacking Zoroark and Lycan Rock from Ryan. We do see Ryan start it off with 2 Rockruff, one on the active, one on the bench, and Fabien with that Trubbish is going to retreat that away and promote whatever he pulls off of this end, likely. Doesn't necessarily want to bring up a Zorua, but an early knockout, at least he still has one on the bench.
Yeah, it's not a turn 1 Bridget. That's always what you're hoping for with these kinds of decks. But getting 2 Zorua down and then playing an N, that's not bad either. The main thing is you want to get multiple Zorua out on your first turn so that you can set yourself up to get Zoroark GX on the second turn. But that Parallel City is actually a pretty big play for Fabien on the very first turn. You know, right here, Ryan would love to use Tapu Lele GX's Wonder Tag, grab Bridget, put 3 Zorua on the bench. But now he only has 1 open spot. He can't really do it.
Very early disruption here coming out from Fabien's side with that Parallel City, but he's left with the Trubbish in the active spot. Not too worried. It's not going to get knocked out, and he'll be able to retreat that back to the bench and promote to the active whatever he'd like next turn. But the main goal of the Zoroark Garbodor deck is to just get multiple Zoroark active very quickly. The more Zoroark you have, the better that tradability becomes.
And you can see Ryan even kind of confused about what to do. Although he does have Reverse Valley, so he's able to get rid of Parallel City. Maybe he just has one of those hands that was just not good enough to bridge it. So he has to take Cynthia instead. Sometimes you're just like, I can grab a Bridget, but the rest of my hand is pretty bad. So I would rather just play a Cynthia and take my chances.
Yeah, it's always a little bit risky to go for the Bridget and load up your bench with basics if you don't have an additional supporter in hand. So it's likely that he was just running into that situation here and figured he can probably find those basic Pokemon on his own.
And you can see Ryan understanding this matchup very well, immediately putting 3 Rockruff in play, understanding that Lycan Rock GX is going to be the most important attacker in this matchup. If you're Fabien, you're going to be trying to stop these Lycan Rock GX from getting set up. If he can get his Zoroark GX out, Guzma out, that Rockruff with the energy, and then start using Riotous Beating to take it out before it gets a chance to evolve. That's one way to deal with it. Another way is this Kartana GX, which can simply slice off that strong energy.
Just a bit of an added bonus from that Kartana GX. Of course, we're mostly seeing it for its Blade GX attack, which does simply take a prize card. But here with that slice off ability, it is going to have a bit of added utility. And then we are going to see that N from Fabien as well.
Yeah, Fabien does play both Kartana GX and an Enhanced Hammer. So those are kind of the ways he can keep Ryan from attacking with Lycan Rock GX. Because Ryan plays 0 basic energy. It's all strong energy and double colorless energy. So whenever he puts any energy down, it's always a threat to be discarded by an Enhanced Hammer or that Kartana GX. And oh my, Fabien off the end draws 2 Zoroark GX.
Oh wow.
Looking like a pretty good turn.
He is going to start trading every single turn from here on out, and he'll be able to tailor his hand to exactly what he needs at any one time, but that's going to be a knockout on the Rockruff. And Fabien off to a fantastic start.
Yeah, this is the kind of situation where you just feel awful if you're Ryan. Now you're staring down multiple Zoroark GX. You don't have any energy in play. And when your opponent can trade this many times, you got to feel like anytime you put down an energy, your opponent's just going to Guzma out the thing that has the energy, or find an Enhanced Hammer, or find Puzzle of Time to get back their Enhanced Hammer. They just have so much control, and you just feel like, what can you do to kind of come back from the spot you're in?
Just seems like there are too many priority targets for Ryan to really be able to deal with all of them, and let alone pick which one should he target down first. He wants to get his own Zoroark online, but there is that Trubbish on the bench from Fabien that is ready to be evolved into Garbodor, has the Float Stone attached to it, and will lock out that trade ability. So does he need to take out that Trubbish first? But then he doesn't address Fabien's trades as well. Fabien just has had so much more time with that ability active. He's going to have much better resources available to him.
And this is always a terrible sight. Playing one puzzle of time to look at your top 3 cards and finding another puzzle of time. It's like, if I would have just waited, I would have drawn it.
Hindsight is 2020.
Yeah, and also, usually your hand is not very good when you're doing that, so hurts even more.
That's a third Zoroark going to hit the bench for Fabien.
And the interesting thing about this Zoroark Garbodor deck is you control when abilities can be used. So in this situation, Fabien is benefiting more from using trade. He's kind of the aggressor in this situation. So he probably doesn't want to get that Garbotoxin online. If he ever is in a situation where he feels like he needs to come from behind and disrupt his opponent, he'll probably play it down. But right now, there's really no reason for him to get rid of his own trades.
It really is a bit of a strange combination of attacking and supporting Pokemon, because you would think that the Garbotoxin Garb really works against himself. It's a bit counterintuitive, but as long as he knows that he shouldn't put up that Garb until he is in firm control of the game and doesn't need to utilize his own abilities anymore, then you can usually just spiral the game from that point on to a win.
Yeah, so Ryan there using Professor Kukui, only drawing 2 cards, and he already knew what those 2 cards were, so he already had really no hopes of doing anything big this turn. I guess Fabien probably looked at his hand and said, I don't really need to trade anymore. And you can see exactly why. Another Kuzma coming out and just saying the only way I can really lose this game is if Ryan starts to use his abilities. And looks like Fabien is in firm control so far.
Looks like this game is just about going to be wrapped up.
Ryan does find Field Blower, so he does get his abilities back for the turn. He's already committed double colorless energy to that Tapu Lele GX, so he can energy drive this turn. It's still not looking good, but he's giving himself a chance.
Sycamore for a fresh 7, and he does find the Zoroark GX. So we can trade a single time. Now he's got no Rockruff on the bench, no additional Zorua. Even if he finds them for this turn, it's very likely that Fabien's going to have another tool card to attach to his Garbodor for next turn.
Yeah, the problem is Ryan is kind of just finally getting on even footing with Fabien, but he's behind the 3 prize cards. So if they're in the same position, doing the same thing every turn, Fabien is simply going to win because he's just going to take the prizes first.
Just got off to a much too fast start.
Yeah, but Ryan is still fighting in this game. I mean, we're only about 8 minutes into it, so no reason to concede quite yet. Play a few turns out, see if you catch some lucky breaks. Even though your opponent is trading 3 times a turn, sometimes they can miss what they need.
Crazier things have happened. Evo Soda for Fabien to pull out that Trashalanche Garbodor.
Ryan going to give a quick look through his discard pile. Go, how many item cards have I played so far? Hopefully not a lot. I don't think he's in any danger of a Trashalanche knockout quite yet. But as the game goes on, that is always a concern. Once you get to about 10 item cards, then that Trashalanche can knock out really anything in Ryan's deck.
There goes all of the abilities locked out again with the Float Stone attachment to the Garbodor and a Riotous Beating onto that Tapu Lele for 120 damage. Pass back over to Ryan. How can he respond to this? He does have that Zoroark softened up on Fabien's bench. Potentially he could take that out. But as long as the Float Stone is on the Garbodor, he's really not worried about these Zoroarks for any reason other than their actual attack potential.
Yeah, so I actually think this was a dangerous move from Fabien, putting Garbotoxin back into effect. This is probably going to hurt him more than it hurts Ryan. Sure, it takes away Ryan's 1 trade, but Fabien's going to get N down to 3 cards at this point, and if Ryan finds something like an Enhanced Hammer to just discard the double colorless off of Fabien's active Pokemon, he's stuck there without an attacker, and he's got a low hand size and no way to trade. So a little risky. Sure, it takes a lot for Ryan to take advantage of it, but I don't know. Feels like just being able to trade every turn is going to get you to victory.
Fortunately for Fabien, we see he did draw into that field blower. He could knock his own floatstone off of that Garbodor and start to trade again. So maybe a bit of a lucky break after what seemed to be a risky choice there to attach that floatstone in the first place. And yeah, he is going to do that.
Yep, there it is. It all worked out.
And the trading continues. That is, I mean, that's the attraction of putting Zoroark into any deck. It's a colorless attacker. You can pair it with almost anything, and it just gives you so much additional consistency. We're seeing it perform very, very well this weekend with Golisopod, now with Garbodor, even just by itself. A couple of weakness policies and a large number of tech cards that a lot of people weren't expecting.
Ooh, there's a field blower. That actually is a lot of item cards now in Ryan's discard pile. I don't know exactly how many we're looking at, but getting into dangerous territory. 10 is the magic number. With 10 items plus a choice band on that Trashalanche Garbodor, we do hit for exactly 210 damage thanks to the resistance from Zoroark GX. And then it turns into a devastating attack, or a one prize Pokemon for 1 energy knocks out your GX. And an enhanced hammer from Fabien. It's like he's trying to close the door on this game as fast as he can. But no tool this time on his Garbodor, so Ryan can finally use his 1 trade.
Well, 1's all he's got, but maybe it'll be the best trade of his Pokemon career.
Yeah. Probably going to need it to be.
That's for sure.
Yeah, Ryan's certainly not out of it yet. He does play Bridget here. Probably just finding a Zorua or finding nothing because there's nothing in his deck and he's going to concede.
Yeah, that's a scoop. Once you have no access to additional attackers and that Zoroark is going to get knocked out next turn by Fabien, that's going to be game number 1. Fabien just off to too quick of a start. Ryan did eventually get somewhat to an even footing, but by that point he was too far behind on prize cards and it was just all over from there. So we are going to take this one to game number 2. With a stronger start for Ryan, game 2 could look quite a bit different.
Yeah, I mean, Fabien did go first. He got that. He got a bunch of evolutions out on turn 2. He was able to deal with Ryan's Rockruff whenever he tried to get energy on one of them. And Ryan was just never able to get that Lycanroc GX up and running. And honestly, given Fabien's deck list with both the Kartana GX and the Enhanced Hammer, the fact that Ryan plays no basic energy in his deck is really going to make it difficult for him to ever power up Lycanroc GX because it takes 2 turns of energy attachments. So every time he gets a strong energy on his Rockruff, it's just going to get discarded.
Really does seem like Fabien's build is pretty well equipped to deal with what Ryan has to offer here. Would you say that it's normal, it's a common decision to play no basic fighting energy in a Zoroark build?
Recently, the answer to that has been yes.
Okay.
We've seen players like Pedro in the last round, he plays 1 basic fighting energy in his deck and then 3 strong energy. But for the most part, people are just like, you know what? Strong energy is just too good. The extra 20 damage adds so much to my attack. I'll just play it. But there is some merit to playing a basic energy just so you don't get enhanced hammered.
Yeah. And I mean, it is a deck that can thrive without much energy in the first place, which is why you're only seeing 4 strong and 4 DCE. But still, it's always a risk to play that little energy to start with, and then to eliminate even the 1 basic fighting energy that was commonly in builds. Sometimes you run into some sticky situations.
Yeah. And Enhanced Hammer is a card that's kind of gone in and out of the standard format. For a while, it was a 1 of or a 2 of in almost every deck, just because special energy were so important. There were a lot of Zoroark mirror matches, and then Buzzwole started taking over the metagame. And, you know, Enhanced Hammer is kind of good against Buzzwole, but you don't play it in Buzzwole decks. So we started to see Enhanced Hammers getting dropped from a lot of deck lists. And now that we're kind of back to this metagame where Zoroark is popping up again, special energy are more important, we're seeing Enhanced Hammer come back again.
It's just the natural growth of the meta. We do see that Lele wonder tagging for Bridget. Bridget fetching 2 Zorua and a Rockruff on the bench for Ryan. So a very solid turn number 1, getting all those basic Pokemon set up. Hopefully he can evolve a couple of them next turn and start trading.
Yeah, good start from Ryan, but he missed that crucial turn 1 energy attachment. He would love to see an energy go on to Rockruff. That's maybe one of the turns where you can get ahead and avoid an Enhanced Hammer from Fabien as he's using his first turn to play Bridget. But missed energy drop there is going to make things tough. But Fabien also with the turn 1 Bridget. Hey, this is probably going to be a good game.
Even footing, that's what we like to see. Especially after last game was a little bit one-sided in the early stages. This one should be a bit more normalized.
Yeah.
You do see there is at least 1 Zoroark in hand for Ryan. Oh, and he's going to throw away that Field Blower. There's no Trubbish on Fabian's side of the board, so he doesn't have to worry about Garbodor for a bit.
Yeah, that is true. And this time, Ryan is going to be the aggressor with that Guzma. He's going to be the one taking the first knockout, getting the first Zoroark GX into play, and using Riotous Beating. He's going to be putting a lot of pressure onto Fabien. And noticed when we showed the prize cards earlier, Kartana GX is in his prize cards, so he won't have access to that slice-off. He's going to have to draw straight into Enhanced Hammer if he wants to disrupt Ryan in any way.
He only does have the 1 copy of the Enhanced Hammer in the deck, so this might be a big opportunity for Ryan to actually stick a couple of strong energy and make some use out of the Lycanroc. We didn't even see him develop a Lycanroc last game because his Rockruff never stuck around for long enough.
Yeah, and Ryan is running a little bit of trickery in his deck. If he has any energy in play at any point, he can use that multi-switch to surprise, move an energy up to Lycanroc GX and get an attack powered up in a single turn. It's a card we've been seeing a lot more of in these Lycanroc GX decks, just to catch your opponent off guard.
Energy Drive from Tapu Lele, 80 damage plus the 30 from the Choice Band, setting up for a 2-hit knockout onto the Zoroark in the active spot. Oh, and Ryan actually trades away the Lycanroc.
Yeah, looks like he just doesn't need it right now. So looking over Ryan's deck list, a lot of these Zoroark decks are running things like...
He has another one.
Oh, no, that helps. A lot of Zoroark decks are running things like Acerola and Max Potion, ways to heal damage off of your Pokemon. And Ryan is not, but an Enhanced Hammer of his own. That's going to set Fabien back. Ryan is not running any of those. I guess when you're playing Weakness Policy, Reverse Valley, Multi-Switch, Enhanced Hammer, you don't have room for quite everything in your deck.
It's a shame, but we are limited to 60 cards.
Yeah.
You only have to run 8 energy total, so you do have a little bit of room there. It looks like he's got about 34 trainers in the deck.
Yep.
That's a pretty good amount.
Yeah, which is pretty typical of decks at this kind of competitive level. When you're first starting off, you think Pokemon are the most important cards. They do everything. So you play like 30 Pokemon in your deck, and then, I need energy. So you play a bunch of energy, and and then there's trainer cards. But the more you play, the more you discover, trainer cards what let me do everything else. And then you have energy in Pokemon too.
First Trubbish hits the bench for Fabien. And a Parallel City going to just allow Ryan to get those 2 Tapu Lele off the bench. He's probably fine with that.
Yeah, easiest Parallel City decision of his life. Discard 2 Tapu Lele off my bench? Okay, thank you.
I mean, you can't Guzma these up and knock them out later? Awesome.
Yeah.
It might be a bit of a nuisance for him to have the bench size limited to 3 right now, but...
Yeah.
There's a chance he's got another Field Blower in the deck. Maybe he gets to Field Blow away that Parallel City, or just... does he actually have... Yeah, he's got 2 Reverse Valleys. Just play one of his own.
Yeah. So Fabien is going to fight back here. He did Energy Drive for 110 on the previous turn thanks to the Choice Band, and it looks like he has found a second double colorless energy. So Tapu Lele GX is proving its worth as an attacker in this matchup. Going to Energy Drive for the knockout and take out Ryan's only Zoroark GX. That's a potentially big swing in the game. Ryan cannot find another one, he could be in some trouble.
But there's the Guzma up, the benched Zoroark from Fabien, and this Lycanroc GX, 2 strong energies attached.
It is quite strong. This dangerous Rogue GX will do more damage than I can count.
Enough. It should be enough.
Yeah, full bench, that's 250, plus 40 from the strong energy, that's 290. That is times 2.
So
580 damage, that's
Yeah.
all. You should get a third prize for that.
if you more than knock out your opponent's Pokemon by twice its HP,
Yeah.
bonus prizes. We'll have to talk to Pokemon about that.
So looks like Fabien is going to respond with an N here. He did lose one of his Zoroark GX, and he's going to end Ryan down to 3 cards. He does not have Zoroark GX in play, so he's not going to be able to trade. He's going to have to draw something good off those 3 cards.
But he does have 2 Zoro ready to go, so if he finds a Zoroark GX off those 3 cards, or an Ultra Ball, that looks like a Zoroark GX.
Yeah, and he also still just has Lycanroc GX. If Fabien can't find the Enhanced Hammer he just drew, it could have been problematic, but Enhanced Hammer's pretty good.
That is the only Enhanced Hammer for Fabien, and like you were saying, that Kartana, I believe, is still prized, so that's the only energy disruption that he does have in the deck.
And even with that Enhanced Hammer, Ryan still has a strong energy on there. So if he can find double colorless energy, he can Claw Slash for the knockout. So Ryan is still in an okay position. The big thing is his Lycanroc now has damage on it. So even if he gets to the knockout here, Fabien can just come in with Zoroark GX and Ryan is beating for a knockout. This is still going to be a very, very close game. If Ryan can draw the cards he needs, he's certainly going to be the one who has the advantage. But it's like Fabien has put himself in an excellent position to potentially win this game.
Yeah, Ryan is going to need the double colorless for the Lycanroc to knock out the Tapu Lele, and then he will have to bring up one of the basic one-prize attackers on the bench, so probably one of those Trubbish with a Guzma or with... he doesn't have that second Lycanroc. He traded that away, so a Guzma up one of those Trubbish and then energy to knock that out as well.
So
Let's
Ryan
take a couple cards.
Ryan does find double colorless energy. He's going to trade away that Timer Ball. And an interesting choice there, whether or not to play Timer Ball or simply discard it and draw a couple cards. And there is double colorless energy, so we're going to see the Claw Slash and Reverse Valley. So he's opening his bench back up. Going down to 1 prize card, so just 1 more knockout wins the game. But, Cora, as we've seen many times, being at 1 prize card is a blessing and a curse when it comes to the ever-popular supporter card, N.
It's the best feeling and the worst feeling at the same time. You get so close, and then sometimes you just cannot close out the game. For Ryan here, he's got to win this one. There's still almost a half hour on the clock, so if he does manage to get his final prize here, he'll have plenty of time to play out game number 3.
Well, Fabien looking through his deck, I think he was trying to find a Tapu Lele GX so he could Wonder Tag for N, but looks like there's none left. He might not have an N in his hand, and currently he doesn't even have any energy. So if he does nothing on his turn, it's just Claw Slash, game over.
He's playing 3 of the Psychic, Metal, and Electric unit energy in his deck, which I don't think we do see one in his hand right there.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have a means to retreat the Zoroark. Oh, he does have the Float Stone. Okay. Now he needs Trashlanch Garbodor. Do you have that too? Prove me wrong. Oh, no, those are the cards he was...
Well, he's already traded for the turn. So he's just got to retreat to Tapu Lele GX and pass. And he already knows his next 3 cards.
Yeah, that was the unit energy, the Float Stone. Or the Search Off the Puzzle of Time on top.
Let me tell you, his next 3 cards are not good. So hopefully the last card in his hand is good. It's like this one Lycanroc GX is going to carry Ryan to a victory if Fabien can't do anything about it. He is doing a quick count of how many item cards are in there, just in case Fabien is able to get that Trashlanch Garbodor. But from the information we have, looks like Ryan has got a stranglehold on this game. Well, he puts down that Buzzwole, the non-GX Buzzwole here.
Retreating the Lycanroc.
Fabien does have exactly 4 prize cards remaining.
Oh, Energy Lotto to move up the strong energy, and that's going to be...
It's 140 damage right there.
Very powerful Sledgehammer. Yep, Ryan's going to take game number 2.
Yeah, I think Fabien just drew his card and said, okay, I can't do anything. Good game.
Bit of a comeback there from Ryan Antonucci, taking it to game number 3. Ryan sitting at a 10-1 match record over these 2 days. Fabien 9-1-1.
Yeah, and you saw the extreme power of Lycanroc GX in that game, and just how difficult it is for Fabien to interact with it. Against most decks, Fabien has some sort of game plan. You know, you can use Zoroark GX, which has a lot of HP, to trade 2-hit knockouts. Now, that doesn't work against Lycanroc. You're weak to fighting, so just Claw Slash, 1-hit knockout. You have Garbodor Trash Lance, which is really good against Buzzwole because it's weak to Psychic. Lycanroc is weak to Grass, so you don't have that easy 1-hit knockout option. And with a strong energy, Lycanroc GX can just Claw Slash and knock out Garbodor. So there's really no clean answer for Fabien. The only way he can really deal with Lycanroc GX is to discard the energy from it. If it ever gets fully powered, there's really nothing in his deck that deals with it.
And we saw he did have access to a single copy of Enhanced Hammer that game, but with that Kartana GX prized, he did not have the ability to knock off another special energy. So he's definitely hoping to have that this game. And he does get to go first this time around, whereas Ryan was able to go first in game 2. So that should give Fabien just a little bit of an edge.
Check out the prize cards. Nothing too important for Ryan. And for Fabien, let's see. 2 Puzzle of Time. That's not good. Those are cards you need multiples of in your hand. So when any of them are prized, it just makes it that much difficult to assemble the double Puzzle of Time combo.
Starting off with an Ultra Ball, likely for Tapu Lele to Wonder Tag for Bridget, would be my guess. Pick up.
Oh, it's like Get Cynthia.
Okay.
Usually when you see a non-Bridget supporter off of Tapu Lele GX, means your hand is pretty bad.
Just not enough to go on. He picks up that Bridget and ends up not drawing into supporter cards for the next couple of turns. That could just be game losing, so you don't want to put yourself in that position. Wisely so, he's going to take that Cynthia instead.
Yeah, we see Fabien starting off with this Latios. It's a card that's very effective against Malamar decks. That Breakthrough Attack can actually knock out Inkay because it's weak to Psychic. Also pretty effective against Buzzwole decks. If you put a Choice Band onto Latios, you can break through for 120 damage to a Buzzwole GX and do 30 to a bench Pokemon. In this particular matchup, I don't think it's going to be very good. But just put the unit energy on, so next turn he could Lagoon Flight.
Ooh.
Don't think I've ever seen that attack used.
Just, 70 damage. Gets the job done. Knock out some basics.
Sadly, does not knock out Zorua because of Psychic resistance. But it could knock out a Rockruff. But if that interaction happens, I will be very happy. Turn 2,
Quite a
Guzma.
bit surprised.
Turn 2, Guzma, Lagoon Flight, your Rockruff.
Needs Guzma and Floatstone for that to happen, but it's not out of the realm of possibility.
It's also not likely.
No, not a bit. But he does have double Zorua to bench this turn, so not feeling too bad about not being able to take that Bridget turn 1.
Yeah, so both players actually missed their turn 1 Bridget, so neither able to get the ideal bench they would want after the first turn. But Ryan was able to at least get 2 Zorua into play, and the unit energy onto the Latios could open up some options for Fabien to get a turn 2 attack. We'll see what he can pull off, though. He did have to Wonder Tag a second time just to get another supporter card. That's better than not drawing cards, I guess.
Ultra Balling for that Garbotoxin Garbodor. We did see him make use of it in game number 1, but If he does decide to get that ability into effect, then he'll not only be locking Ryan out of trades off of Zoroark, but himself. So it'll be interesting to see exactly when he wants to go for that.
With a second unit energy, he can now break through 10 damage and 30 to the Rockruff. So he can at least soften up that Rockruff on the bench, which could potentially be a big deal if he can get one more of those breakthrough attacks off. You know, if you get 60 damage onto Lycanroc GX, that puts it in range for a lot more attacks to knock it out.
But a double Zoroark turn 2 for Ryan. We do see he missed his energy attachment on turn 1. But he has double colorless and I believe a strong in hand this turn.
Yeah, the Parallel City is actually making this difficult for Ryan, but Guzma helps out a little bit. I was going to say the limited bench size would prevent him from knocking out Latios, but 60 damage, perfectly enough to take down Zorua. And even though Fabien went first in this game, he is on the back foot already. Ryan is the first one to get Zoroark GX out, gets the first knockout. And how can Fabien respond?
Also, I mean, just look at what Fabien has in play. He's had to commit 2 unit energies to a Latios that doesn't have good typing in this matchup. He's had to use Wonder Tag twice. So his bench is clogged up right now with Tapu Lele, with a Garbotoxin Garbodor that he doesn't even know, when he wants to make use of that ability. It's just a lot of utility cards right now that don't actually help him win the game.
Yeah, it's a lot of situational cards that are not in the right situation.
No.
Things you don't want to see. He's drawing stuff in the wrong order. He does finally find Evo Soda, though, so he can get one Zoroark GX into play. Perhaps start trading, maybe get another Zorua out. But probably not any significant offense this turn. We're probably just going to see another breakthrough. Do see another trade coming out. And, Enhanced Hammer. That is a big swing.
That is clutch.
Whenever you can discard an energy from your opponent's Pokemon in this kind of a matchup, it can potentially prevent your opponent from getting off an attack on the following turn. And at the very least, it's going to slow down Lycanroc GX from getting powered up.
And that Rockruff on the bench now within range of being knocked out by another breakthrough attack from this Latios. But we do see Ryan with double puzzle in hand.
Sure do. He can, at the very least, if he wants to, knock out another Zorua this turn. Seems like a good strategy. Whenever you can limit the number of Zoroark GX your opponent has in play, it usually seems like a winning line of play.
He's got to find those DCEs. He can bring one back to hand with the double puzzle of time. He's got 3 more in the deck.
Yeah, so he's playing Tapu Lele GX and eyeing up that Mallow. So checking to see what he can grab with that Mallow. Looks like he's putting 2 energy to the side.
Strong DCE.
Yeah, so this turn he does have Lycanroc GX in hand. He can just Bloodthirsty Eyes and bring out a Zorua, take a knockout there, and then set himself up next turn to perhaps do a crazy multi-switch, strong energy, and then potentially knock out Zoroark GX. You can see just how aggressive this Zoroark Lycanroc deck can be. Once it gets into motion, it can take knockouts pretty much every single turn.
All right, he just put the cards directly in his hand, traded away that Rockruff. There's no tool on the Garbodor on the bench for Fabien, so abilities are still active, and that gets Ryan the DCE and means he doesn't have to use double puzzle this turn to fetch it if he doesn't want to. Gonna take that Zorua knockout and just further try to restrict the resources that Fabien has access to. He does pick up another Zoroark, but now no Zorua on the bench.
And he's got an interesting choice. He has 1 open bench spot. Does he play another Zorua? No, he goes for Kartana GX to slice off that double colorless energy. It's a double-edged sword. He gets rid of the energy, but now his energy drive does less damage, only hitting for 40. But if he can make Ryan miss an attack, it's probably more valuable than the 40 damage he was doing.
Another Guzma for Ryan off of that trade.
We do know he has that double puzzle of time in hand. Problem is he doesn't have any great targets for Guzma right now. Because of the limited bench size, you can't knock out Garbodor. If he could find like a Field Blower or Reverse Valley and a couple of benched Pokemon, I think it's perfectly reasonable to go after one of those non-GX Pokemon, but otherwise he really doesn't have that great of a turn. If there's an Enhanced Hammer in his discard pile, that's probably the best thing he can do this turn.
He's also just sitting at 4 prize cards, so he would like to go directly for 2 GX Pokemon if possible, without having to take those 1 prize knockouts.
And he actually decides to attach Double Colorless to Lycanroc GX. That means he's pretty much given up on attacking this turn, and he's opting to attach that instead of the Strong Energy. Like he is going to go for Puzzle of Time as well. He is signaling to his opponent now that he does have an extra Double Colorless Energy in his hand for next turn. Sometimes it's better to be a little bit sneaky and play the Puzzle of Time first. Say, hey, I got Double Colorless Energy, and then play it immediately. Now Fabien knows, even if he discards that one, Ryan already has the second one.
Generally, it is, I would say, better to conceal information from your opponent. You don't want to give them a read on what's in your hand if you don't have to. So maybe a little bit of ordering there that could have been better than the line that Ryan took.
Yeah. Especially when there's no downside.
Yeah, of course. You're just simply concealing information.
Yeah. But Fabian's still not able to muster up really anything. Just another energy drive, and now Ryan, he's going for the Guzma, but now he's having second thoughts. He's potentially worried that there's too many energy now on his Lycanroc GX, and Tapu Lele GX would be able to energy drive for a knockout. Finally gets rid of that Parallel City, though. He can fill his bench. And Ryan is going to take a pretty big lead in this third and final game. Down to 2 prize cards. Can Fabien finally draw out of this?
But another Parallel City for Fabien. Going to continue to limit the damage from Riotous Beating.
Fabien just has nothing. He has no supporters, just a bunch of Pokemon.
No Zoroark's active, just going to have to
break through again.
Third time this game. Third time is not the charm for him, however. Especially with DCE and Guzma to bring up that Tapu Lele. That is game, and Ryan Antonucci is going to take this set in game number 3.